So, how is everyone doing? Good? Incarnate or discarnate, everybody is okay, right? Because sometimes we see the room kind of empty, but in reality it's not empty. So we all need to welcome everyone. The topic today, it's around passes. First of all, I'd like to ask, who never heard about passes here? Never heard about this topic at all? Okay, darling, you're gonna need to go. Okay.
The one and last time. Let's go.
All right.
Come on.
This is my child, for who doesn't know. Who never heard about passes before? It's okay to say I never know, I never had one. Anybody? So it's not new for anyone. Okay, great. The purpose of the lecture, of course, is not to go in deep on the subject because this is before a seminar, but I just want to give you an overview of what it is, why it's good to have it, what are the benefits, and how it works. Once we go into that room, what happens in our perispirit and the body level. So it's just a quick overview so we can, once we go to the room and next time we come here, we know what would be to receiving passes, and we can actually work better on that to observe even more the energy dispensed to us. To start, let me turn it on this, and let's just do a quick definition. What would be the passes? So passes is a transfusion of mental energy, according to Emmanuel, is a transfusion of energy changing the cells, so it can change even our cellular field in our body, in our perispirit. It can go into that level. It is the transmission or manipulation of the fluid of a healing energy of who has it for those who needs it. When we hear the word fluid, we're going to hear a lot and read a lot in the Spiritism books. That means energy, because on Kardec's time, we didn't have that word energy as we know nowadays. So every time you read fluids, just refer to energy, okay? So it make it easier to understand. But the book is a translation that says fluids, and in Portuguese as well. A therapeutic resource that resembles everything that Jesus and his apostles performed. So whatever we do here on passes, there's nothing different than what Jesus have done before. It's not an invention of Spiritism. We're going to see through the history many civilizations that have done similar healings. So this is not something new that Spiritism has just came up with it. So pretty much is a transfer of energy, donation of love, and result of goodwill. Not only a transfer of energy, because in the past we had the hypnotism and we had the magnetizers that would transfer the energy. With the Jesus Christ, once he came to earth and he brought us the concepts of love, of intention, of goodwill, then we combined this three, energy, love, and goodwill, then we can make the best of use of passes. So it's not only a transfer energy. So a pass giver don't come here only to transfer energy. Why? Because all of us have this fluid. All of us have this. We're going to see where it comes from. And it's a donation of love. You can't only have good intentions and love to be a pass giver, because it requires a lot more than that. There are techniques, there are habits that needs to be changed, there are studies that needs to be done. So only love also doesn't supply everything. And the goodwill, of course. We need to have the intention, we need to have the will to donate and to receive. So pretty much this is what would be, right, the definition. So passes, and which is also called magnetism, passes is a technique of the magnetic science, which we're going to see later on. But just as an illustration, quickly going through the internet, we could find, even in the primitive time, in the Old Testament, in India, Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, and the New Testament with Jesus Christ, they all worked with the energy, with the healing through laying on of hands. So this is not something new, like I said, that Spiritism is bringing to us. This is something that comes through the time in different ways, of course, and different techniques, but with one purpose of healing, either the body or the soul or our emotions. So it's always come from the beginning of times. Why I brought the magnetism term? Because Allan Kardec in the Spirit's book and in the Genesis also mentioned that Spiritism and Magnetism is the same science. They are twin sciences. They complete each other. So whatever we know in Spiritism as the physical phenomena, the spiritual phenomena, and the healing process, the mediumship, is a product of magnetic manifestations as well. So Allan Kardec, after Mesmer, which was the founder of the magnetism doctrine, which was the one that discovered the animal magnetism and our human magnetism. So he believed that there was a fluid, an energy through our nervous systems that could be able to be donated and help the others to heal themselves. So it could affect the body. At that time, they wouldn't talk about perispirit or spiritual because this was a way before Spiritism to come. But they already practiced this in the Mesmerism Society, which after him, the one that continued his work was Dupotet, which was the founder of the Society of Mesmer, he was adepт of Mesmer, and he also was a leader on this society, which Allan Kardec participated. So Allan Kardec is a codifier of Spiritism. He was magnetizer for 35 years before he started to work with the spirits. So he had a deep knowledge. He had a practice that for 35 years. So he brought it to us through his Spiritism, and through his experience, a lot of factors, a lot of things that helped us with the mediumship and with the phenomena as well, and with the healing process. So Allan Kardec in Spiritism, he didn't go so deep on magnetism because it was already a science that was already practiced and delivered and already discovered that would be good to heal people according to the donation of fluids. So he was the one that continued on and brought the connection from magnetism to Spiritism. So at the point that we're going to see on the Spiritist Review is one of the journals. There's a journal. Actually, I do invite every one of you to look for online. They started to translate those journals from March 1858 to January 1869. They have all these volumes being translated slowly from French to Portuguese and then now to English. So he actually confirms that magnetism paved the way to Spiritism. It is such a connection that it's impossible to speak of one without speaking of the other. I'm bringing this up because sometimes we hear people say, what is this magnetism? Why we are talking about this at the center? Why we need to have passes? So this comes also from Allan Kardec studies that brought that to us and make us to understand this connection between the two sciences. And here, he also says that the two sciences are in fact twins. They complete each other and they are explained by one another. So it is a very difficult and it would not make sense to talk about Spiritism without talking about magnetism as well, as a matter of the phenomena, as a matter of the healing process, right, and the spiritual world, because we are immersed in a world that we don't see because our senses are not made to see all this environment, but they are with us. So this is all fluids. We're going to see where that comes from, where this energy comes from, how it works. Just a quick explanation, that he also said if we have to stay out of a magnetism, we would be incomplete. It's just like a physics professor that would be without light, without studying the light. So we need to study magnetism and Spiritism. It's part of it. It's a science that complete each other. Moving on, we have now the passes in magnetism, which the passes is a technique, one of the techniques of the magnetism. So it's not an invention of Spiritism, as I mentioned. which pretty much is the action of two living beings by means of a special agent called magnetic fluid. So all of us, we all have this fluid. We're going to see later on what is the types that can be, but pretty much is to direct to a patient in the place of his illness or on the most sensitive parts of his body the magnetic agent in order to produce any heat or any movement. So we donate and receive this energy from between each other. So past therapy benefits. What are the benefits? Since we have a really quick summary, where it came from, why it is here, why it's linked to Spiritism, what are the benefits? So when we come to the center, what we are receiving when we go to that room. So I'm going to see a little bit now. Harmonization of thought. So the passes help us to clarify our thoughts. So sometimes we come here a little disturbed, a little nervous. Once we listen to the lecture and go into the room, the fluids dispensed on us, the rebalance of our chakras help us with our thoughts, with our emotions. Assistance on mediumship for people that have difficulties with mediumship phenomena, with disturbance. It assists a lot as well. It can help with that. Re-energization, alignment of our chakras. We have heard of chakras before. Support to medical treatment. So the passes alone does not replenish the medical treatment. So some people come to the center and say, well, I'm sick, but I feel so good with passes, so I'm going to quit my doctor, my treatment. No, you're not, because it's a combination. It's one helping the other. We are never going to be saying here that you need to take that medicine out. We are not doctors. We are not psychologists. So we are to support each other. So medical treatment, if it's needed, it needs to be combined with spiritual treatment, which is what we provide in here. Help in spiritual disturbance and this obsession. When we are immersed in dense fluids from the spirits that perhaps don't love us or don't understand us or we have harmed before, once we receive the passes, they help us to disengage from this more dense fluid. So that also helps us when we go to the passes session. Physical, mental, and spiritual rebalancing. It's a combination. We are body, spirit, and perispirit. So the passes can not only affect our perispirit and sometimes our body, but of course this doesn't happen instantly. Like we go to a pharmacy, we have a headache, and we go get an Advil. So it's a process. So it's a continuous process that we're going to see. Some people alleviate from illness, some people feel a little more calm. It all depends on the person and, of course, whoever is providing the passes. So just quickly, let's see what is the element. What do we use in the room, for instance, to give a pass? So if I tell you, okay, we use fluids and energy, you say, well, I don't see anything. A quick example is the light. Okay, we turn the light. We don't see how it's processed, but the light comes up, right? So that's the same way. We don't see it, but there is a fact, there is energy being manipulated and dispersed and harmonized in our body. So just for us to have a little bit of understanding, the universal cosmic fluid, which is a genesis, for whoever wants to understand in deep about passes, I do recommend to read the chapter 14 in the Genesis. Is the best source that you can find to really understand what happens in there. It's not an easy reading for who never had a opportunity to read about that before, but it's totally worth it. I really recommend, because I'm not gonna be going in deep on this. So the universal cosmic fluid is the primitive elementary matter whose modifications and transformations comprise the innumerable variety of body found in nature. So our physical body, our perispirit, is just transformations of this fluid that is all around us. Meaning, just like an aquarium, we are just like the fishes. The water is the fluid, just to make it easier to understand. So we cannot run away from this. So it's a one cosmic fluid, one principle that manipulated, transformed in different things. In this table, in our physical body, in our perispirit. But we don't see how this process is done. According to our reincarnations, we can move from one world to another. So we use the envelope, the perispirit, in accordance with that environment. So on Earth, this is type of the body and the environment that we carry on. Those fluids, these energies can be visible, invisible, tangible, or untangible. So that's why most of them we are not going to be able to perceive with our senses. We cannot see, we cannot smell. Some people actually can see somehow, but not, it is really rare. But it does exist, even though there are transformations. Our physical body in perispirit, there's only a few types of this condensed matter, this condensed principle. So how the healing happens in this process? Pretty much we have an unhealthy molecule in our physical body, in our perispirit, replaced by a healthy one. So once we go to the party, the passes, the energy dispensed in there will help us with this replenishment. But this does not happen instantly most of the times. So sometimes people come to the center, I want to pass this, I want some treatment, I want this, I want that, and I need to give you the bad news. I mean, the good news. The good news is that it is possible, yes, to heal either the body or the perispirit, or feel a little better, to be a little balanced with ourselves, with our emotions, but the treatment is not only that. The process is the last part of the surgery, because as right now, this is what the treatment is. When we get in tune, when we get connected to the message and try to reflect in ourselves what this needs to change on me, why I'm feeling like this, what do I need to do to become better, how do I forgive that person, and we start to connect with these subtle energies, then is when the healing process starts. Over there is just to help us to what? To overcome our issues, our difficulties, and to leave the center a little bit more relieved. But if we leave through that door and continue doing it whatever we want to do, and the same mistakes and the same situation, we might not see any improvement. So some people come to me and say, well, do you guys provide like spiritual treatment, whatever, passes treatment? I say, yes. But I explain to them, this is the treatment right now. You cannot just come to the center for the passes. First of all, this is not enough. So we need to, it's a combination. It's the message, the passes, the gospel at home, for who had opportunity to do it. We had a service here that we provide that, orientation on how to do at home. Because at home and out of the center, that's real life is. Because here it's easy to feel good, to talk nicely with each other. I want to see it an outsider here. So this moment, and once we come to the center, it's where we really feel that the treatment just has started. So that's why sometimes we come even on Mondays or today, we keep saying, try to have a better day, or at least to calm your mind a little bit, so you can absorb even more of this benefit that we provided here. Not we as a human spirit incarnate only, but of course the doctors, the spirits, the higher evolved spirits that are here to sustain and support us. So the healing power, it's a combination of the action of the spirits, not only us. It's not only the past giver that is going to assist you to receive, to feel better. It's a combination. So what happens in there, if I'm dispensing passes in somebody, I also have a spiritual mentor or a spiritual doctor that is coordinating these fluids around to be provided to that certain person according to their need. They are manipulating, they are mixed with my own, which is more the human fluid, the human magnetism, and they are making the changes, helping us to help you. So this is a combination. The healing power also depends on the quality of the fluids, because the past giver, for instance, cannot come over here thinking about kill somebody, or I have a crappy day and I'm doing whatever. So whatever we think is going to affect our fluids, because the fluids, the vehicle is the thought and the will. So if I come here and I say, okay, that person sit down in my chair, I don't really care about him or her, well, I can assure that you're not going to feel better when you leave. So That's why the preparation to be a past giver is really intense. We need to really be committed to what we're doing. It's a change of habit, it's a motivation, it's love, it's will, and of course, it's the quality of our thought, of our will, of our fluids. So this can be developed. All of us can be a past giver if you want. But there are certain restrictions, which is not the case here, but I just brought as a illustration. So what are the types of passes that we have, that we know? Magnetic passes, which I've been talking about, is the human magnetism. The action depends on the power and the quality of fluid of the person that is given the passes, which means the past giver. Okay, so magnetizer and past giver is the same thing, if we ever hear differently. Spiritual passes is the passes directly from the spirits. It doesn't need an intermediary. So for instance, when we come here for fraternal care, we want to talk to somebody, and we talk and we cry or we feel better, we leave here a little bit relieved. What happened? The person doesn't do any magic. It's not that. Sometimes the spirits are helping us rebalance our own energies. When we pray for somebody, when we pray for us and ask for guidance and feel a little better after and feel calm, this is what probably have happened. They help us to, alleviate ourselves. This is dispensed on by the spirit. But the most common one is the mixed one, which is called the semi-spirit and spirit-human magnetism, which is a combination. So most of the times the person is going to be in a chair, and like I mentioned before, there will be fluids from the energy from the magnetizer, the past giver, and the fluids from the spiritual world. So they're going to manipulate and make in accordance to the need of that person that is waiting to receive. Just as an illustration here, my mediumship is completely blind. But this is a good illustration just to find out how it might have been. Usually they are transmitting the spiritual fluid. It passes through us to magnetic, the human, and goes to the person. Why? Because the spirits don't have fluids like ours. We are incarnated. We are alive. So the light came. That's awesome. We are alive. That means they don't have the physical body. So for instance, a person that has illnesses in the body, that person will need a good portion of our animal magnetism, our energy. So they use us to dispense that. Now you can say, okay, that's great. So they can do everything. Of course they can. But why we're going to come to the center, whoever is receiving or whoever is giving the pass is unprepared, to give them more work and maybe losing the chance to receive even better and to give even better. So that's why we study. That's why we make a lot of efforts to donate and to receive the best way that we can, so we can help them as well. So just as an illustration as well, the vital fluids, which are our chakras, this is what we have in the passes room. When you receive the passes, the energy is going towards those, I would say, those fields in our perispirit. They are really connected to some of our organs. So for instance, we have here on the nervous system, we have the throat and the heart, the main organs. So once we receive that energy, it's going to affect, if that is a need, the organ as well. And Allan Kardec mentions, if I'm not mistaken, in the Spirit's book, that if the organ is not so deteriorated by illnesses, for instance, it is possible even to heal. That's why we say, well, they did Reiki, which Reiki is another type of magnetism technique. They did Reiki in the hospital, they did laying out of hands, and the person healed. Yes, because when the organ has the condition to receive that energy, the molecules, remember the cells, the molecules are going to be what? To be replaced from the unhealthy to the healthy ones, and then the healing happens. So this is what happens in our centers. When we go to the passes room, we receive the energy, and they, with the manipulation of the hands and the energy, they started to distribute this energy around our perispirit and our body, and making us to feel a little more balanced when we leave. So This is just for us to understand, because it's easy for me to say, okay, we're going to pass this room. I'll put your hand in your, which I'm going to do an experiment here if we have time. And I put my hand in your head and stay. No, I need to explain to you guys what is connected, why we go with the hands like this. There are places in our body, in our perispirit, that needs to have that energy imposed. So just so as an illustration, we come to the center like this, right, for instance, and then with the techniques, with the energy, we align our chakras. So that's why we feel the difference most of the times after we receive passes. And with the vital centers that I showed before, just for us to visualize, it's just like a, how can I say this? Is a funnel, is that what you said? Yeah, funnel. Thank you so much. So just as an illustration, so when we are doing the whatever the technique is, the energy is penetrating in there. It's just like rotating, so it's absorbing, just like a sponge absorbing in our perispirit. Now, if we come to the center, completely disturbed, we eat like 50 pounds of meat before we come. Nothing against me. That's completely okay. Then we're going to have a little bit of issue to receive that energy, because there's going to be a little slow process, right? So that's why the preparation before we come is really important. The thought, a little bit prayer, trying to calm ourselves a little bit and be confident, try to, make some optimism in our life. It's hard sometimes. We have tough days, right? Or nobody here to have tough days? There's anybody that don't have? Please tell me, oh, he doesn't have tough days. Okay, maybe horrible days. But anyway, so this is possible, of course, but we leave here better. The most important thing that we need to remember is that we can never leave that room feeling worse. And I ask you, all of you, I know many people are not here today, but they are going to listen to this somehow. Do not leave the center worse than you came, because this is not the purpose. We can talk, we can try a little bit more to see if rebalance yourself, but this is not the purpose, okay? So unless you are sick, which is different, but that's not the case. The same way it happens with our body and with our perispirit during the passes, we can do with the water. So all that energy penetrates the water, which you take home and continue on the treatment that you received in the passes room. That's why we ask to bring the water. At this moment, the spirits are depositing the fluids, using some from us to help assist. So if I have Mary with a specific situation, they know that Mary needs a specific type of fluids, of medicine in their water. That's why they are doing right now. So how it happens, okay? Just to illustrate, we have the body here, right? What we see. We have this vital field, which is really close to our body, and the perispirit, the mental field, and the spirit. So when we go to passes, the energy is started to be affected in here, and with time, it can affect our body. That's why the changes are not instantly, because we can have that. This is so dense for such a subtle energy. So it happens in here, in this portion of our being, because we are not only this, we are not only this, and we are not only this. We're going to be only this one day, but now we are those three. When we die, this one, it's over for a little while, and then we continue on with this. And this one is what carries our illnesses of the mind or of the soul, of the body. So once we manifest something in our body, that means this field was already corrupted. It's not the other way around. It's not from here to that. It's from here to the body. That's why once there are situations where the magnetism is so powerful that the person, this is what André Luiz's books illustrated to us. Sometimes the person had some issues, some illnesses that were about to manifest in the body, but with the magnetic treatment in here, it kind of stopped. or minimized the effect in the body. So that's why it's really important. Sometimes a person comes here for, okay, I have a kidney issue, and end up having something better in the stomach. Oh, I didn't even know I had this. Well, because they are all connected, the organs and the vital centers. So we are perispirit. The energy, the magnetic energy goes through our chakras, to our body. That is our combination, the recomposition of it, and the mind. And our mind provide what? The peace of mind. We kind of, get better in spiritual involvements, even if we are going through a very severe spiritual disturbance. That can also help. So this is how it acts in this process. So we go there in that room. Imagine that we are sick here. It doesn't matter our illnesses. And then it comes, the energy goes toward our chakras we receive through our vital centers. And from there, like Mesmer mentioned before, like he studied, he believed that this fluid, it's on our nervous system. So it comes to our nervous system, which will affect and reach our endocrine system, and will go to our blood, and at that point, that can go to our cells. But of course, this doesn't happen from one day to another. This is a process. So that's why when people come to the center and start a treatment, sometimes they feel better, 2 or 3 sessions, and they stop. Well, the bad news is that it will come back. It can come back really severe because it's not done yet. So it depends on the person. Some people observed a little bit faster, especially children. When they are in treatment, the changes in their condition are really, really fast sometimes than in adults, because we have all going on in our minds and our lives, and a lot more issues. But in the perispirit too, a little bit more dense, right? All the things that we eat, worries that we have in our mind. So, but this is a process, but it can take up to our cell. That's why people heals. So I'm just bringing this because for us to understand what happens, it's good for us to know what is behind that. So once we go to the pastor's room, we said, okay, your mind is going to help you to heal yourself, because it's not the past giver that's going to heal you or me. Right? We cannot come to the center waiting for people to solve our problems, because this is a tool for us to find the strength inside us to become better and to go through our struggles, our difficulties. So what it depends, the effectiveness to, the results. What are we seeing here? Like I mentioned before, thought, prayer, meditation, it helps in how we take the best from the treatment. Faith and will, of course, is not only who has faith and will and knows what possible is going to get a benefit. No, but it helps. If you have faith that you're going to become better, I can tell you, you are 90% healed. Because just because we understand that God is the power of love, is the God of love and understanding, and he knows our struggles, our difficulties, and of course, any treatment in the world is going to go against his laws and the will in our lives. But this exists for us to try. And sometimes we do many things in life, many good things in life, and we were supposed to go through a lot, and we end up not going through so much. So God is not a God that is 0 to 80, yes or no. There are things that we can change. There are sources that we can look for to what? To become better, to be stronger, and to pay our evil with good. Because this is the proposal of Jesus Christ. Not for us to be suffering, to be in pain, but for find a ways to pay our evil toward good actions. So this is only a source for helping us to find that path. Inner transformation, like I mentioned earlier, without inner transformation, without coming here, listen to the message, processing that in our hearts, we can't find a way to heal ourselves. And then you can say, well, I've seen people going to these spiritual surgeries, they heal what? Because the body, medicine can heal up to a point. But what we need to understand is that the tumor, whatever we have difficulties in our body, medicine will take care. I cannot promise you, it can happen. Some people comes with a tumor and they go to another MRI, whatever, and the tumor is not there anymore. But that doesn't mean that they are healed. If that cancer cause is unforgiveness, if that cancer cause is hate, that will come back in another different trial. So that's why inner transformation goes in what? In the cause of our issues. And then we can really find the healing in ourselves. Then we transform and become better. Reincarnation planning, that things that we need to go through. So if a person is born without an arm, I cannot make the arm show up in the past room. I'm sure this is a dumb example, but some people believe we cannot change this. There are things that we need to go through, but this that we're doing here and the process can help us to deal with our trials. This is the beauty of it. We can't promise any solution, any elimination of difficulties in our lives, but the strength, we're gonna have it. We are going to access the strength. We are gonna have sources to develop our faith, and this is provided to us for free and in abundance, just like Jesus taught us. Merit. We need to acquire merit for some things in our lives. It doesn't make sense somebody just make evil and evil and evil after evil and wants to feel and be the best person in the world. So we need through our good actions to pay our evil with good all the time. And of course, the magnetic potential, like I mentioned before, depending on the past giver, yes, the fluid is a little bit more powerful than the other, but that doesn't mean that you cannot develop that. Each person has a different type of energy pertaining to that specific person, that specific treatment and effectiveness, but that counts a lot as well. Preparation before passes, as I mentioned before, more we come prepared to receive and to give, more effective that will be. Our moral conduct in the two ways, the past giver and the person that is receiving. So if I sit down in the pastor's room and I'm thinking, I'm going to live here and I'm going to scream at my mother-in-law, I can assure that you're not going to receive what you need. Okay, so if I come and scream at somebody and, mistreated somebody and I come here, it's okay to come. That's why you're here, to put yourself together, to put your thought together and to become better. But once you leave here and go there, try to, okay, how am I going to forgive that person? How I can make it different tomorrow? It's not about not making mistakes. It's about trying to find ways to make different and to make it better. Gospel at home is the continuation of what we come here for. Because at our home, many things happen. Many spirits stay there. They don't have access here. So once we do the gospel at home, we change the atmosphere of our home. So we feel better in there. So we have more strength during our daily lives out of the center. So we need to institute that in our house as soon as possible. Whoever wants help, we have a service that we can help here. Magnetized water also is a continuation of the pastor's treatment once we go to the room, as I mentioned. And the thought and mental distractions. We come to the center, we sit down in the chair, we shouldn't be on the phone. Every time we are on the phone, here or there, we are disconnected from this environment, from this energy. Every time we have a little vibe on our phone, some Facebook checking, we are connected to whatever it is, but here. So this is really important for us to receive the best inside this place and in that place. Do whatever it's possible and impossible to be away from mental distractions and from the life outside. Because this is just a few hours that we are here. Few hours that we can leave our work behind for a little bit, our worries behind. If it's not possible, at least ask for resources to make ourselves better, to deal with this better. But not this type of situation. Conversations out of, not the nature of a goodwill. What did you say? What she thought about you? Oh, did you hear that? Guys, this is not a place for this. This is a place for us to renew ourselves. Outside of here, we do whatever we want, but not here. Because we need to take the opportunity. It's not punishment. It's not because it's got to be like this, but I'm just trying to explain how important is this moment in our lives, to our souls, to our to our harmony. And the frequency, sometimes people start the treatment and they skip the session, or they go, oh, I came 2 times, I'm good. Gotta have a frequency to actually show good results. Self-effort, because I cannot do anything for you if you don't want. Okay? It's hard, but I can't. We can't do, the spirits can't. Jesus did not do that. What is it? He didn't heal everybody, right? Some people didn't want it. See, some people were not in condition to receive that, like we said before, merit, right? So it's a self-effort. We are responsible for our self-healing. We hear a lot about self-healing. This is all about. It's our own effort, finding ourselves, what we can do to become better, to, to be a different person than we were in other lives or in this life. And medical treatment, of course, is a combination. You can't come here with a cut in your arm. I probably will pass out, if not discarnated in front of you, with that thing open. I have no problem with seeing anything in the spiritual side, but, so we got to go to the doctor. There are things that, don't show me the cancer tumor, oh, look at here, I probably, so we need to go to the doctor. We have an issue, a physical issue, we need to continue our treatment. And nutrition habits. If you're a past giver or you're receiving, most likely the past giver, okay, some people tell me, oh, I can be a past giver, I don't eat meat. Okay, but if you eat 10 watermelons before you come, 50 plates of salad, so we don't have a common sense. So that's the same thing. It's not about the meat, it's about the common sense of what we do. Or if you are completely vegetarian, and completely subtle being, whatever, but my tongue and yours cannot be controlled, there is a problem. If my thought is only thinking about the others, only mischieving, only like putting people down, we have a problem beyond nutrition habits. And that goes to what? Moral conduct. So that influences in this process of effectiveness. All honest medicine is a service of love, a relief activity, but the work of healing is particular to every spirit. Nobody can do for us what it's our responsibility. No one. This is the image of the Nosolar movie, which I do recommend for you guys to read it. This is Andrea Luiz, which was discarnated with the perispirit all deteriorated by the illnesses that he had. So the spirit told him, now you be quiet and receive the benefit and try to put yourself together to make different. It pertains to each one of us. So let's think about this. Work of healing, it's all for us. We have the resources, we have everything, but the healing, it's our part. Then we need to become better and work ourselves toward that path. So here is the master, right? Jesus haven't done anything different than what we're doing. Actually, he said, you can do more, and or like I do, or even more. So the Emmanuel tells us that passes, such as transfusions of mental energies in which precious spiritual energies flow from the messengers of Christ to the givers and beneficiaries, represent the continuity of the Master's effort to mitigate the sufferings of the world. It is necessary, however, not to despise his lesson while continuing the work of love through fraternal hands. What are we doing in here? What do we see all the Spirit Center doing? The people that go to the hospital is a continuation of God's work in our lives through Jesus Christ. It's not an invention of Spiritism. It's free of charge. It should be free of charge because it's giving that you receive, right? So I just hope you enjoy it, and from our next step, I really, really believe that you all are going to be a little bit more clarified and a little bit more open to all you have here for. Thank you.